Smart automation, better business. Learn how to optimize your business with Solved.
Hello, I'm Devin Smith, a Salesforce consultant and CPQ expert here at Solved.cloud. While working within CPQ, have you ever faced any performance issues such as the Aylex CPU timeout error or the heap size error? I know I have, especially in more complex orgs, and often it's very difficult to troubleshoot and determine what's really going on. So in this video, I'm going to share a few of the things that we've been able to do to help determine exactly where your main point of performance issues are, as well as some of the findings that we've found when doing these tests. So stick around and you'll be able to do these in your own org, and we'd also be happy to share more insights on how you can increase your CPQ performance. So essentially, we have a pretty simple methodology. The first thing we're going to do, and I'll show you kind of how we've set our debug logs up, but the first thing you're going to do are build your debug logs and set those up in your org so that we can gather some information while we're in our CPQ instance. The second thing you're going to do is perform A/B tests, turning on and off different parts of your CPQ configuration so that you can identify what's causing the most performance impact. And then the third thing is going to be comparing those results. And I'll show you a few examples of some debug logs that we've performed so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So I'm going to kind of walk you through the steps, specifically right now the debug logs, then we'll move on to the A/B testing, and then I'll show you an example of the logs and how we can compare those. So the first thing would be debug logs, setting those up. You'll want to set a user trace on your user, whoever, if you're logged in as somebody, whoever you're doing the test with. And then again, the range of time doesn't really matter, but if you're doing lots of different testing, it's going to generate a lot of logs. So I'd potentially be very specific with the timing of your A test, and then do another one for your B test, just to make sure you can find and compare those logs. And then again, I've set up a CPQ smoke test here. It's pretty simple debug log. All you need is the finest debug log on Apex profiling, and you can make everything else as none. You can put info on the access one if possible, but not necessary there. But this will get us a lot of information on the specific transactions within CPQ, specifically the Apex CPU time and the heap size, which are the two kind of major performance issues that we've run into with clients that are harder to troubleshoot. And what we're really trying to do with these tests are find the areas where we want to now optimize and fix so that we can increase the performance for CPQ. Because after you've identified what's causing your issues, it makes it a lot easier to go and fix them. So what you do is set up that debug log, and then again, you set up a user trace on whoever you're doing the testing with. Next, you're just going to go to a quote. I already have one set up here. I'm not going to go through too many specific tests. This is just a demo org, and it's not too complicated, so I'm not going to be triggering any errors or performance issues. But the best thing to do here, right, is have your org exactly how you would normally have it. And if you're hitting an error, what you want to do with this first test is hit the error and then go look at the debug logs. It's going to give you, again, the heap size and the CPU time, which are going to help you when you compare future adjustments. What you can do too, if you're testing a specific scenario, right, you'll want to add the product. Come here, we'll just add this random product. You would select it. Sometimes you'll hit the error right there after you've added multiple bundles. That's when you'd want to go stop your debug log and go and view the results. You can also come through and quick save it or save it. That's also going to trigger some debug logs that you can go and compare to. So that would be your A test. And then what you do is you stop your debug logs, set it up again so you can kind of know the timing for those other logs and know that you're not just generating a bunch in between. Then what you do is, let's say you have 100 product rules, 10 quote scoped, 90 product scoped. And let's say you have a theory that those rules are potentially causing the performance issues that you're seeing. What you can do is then go behind the scenes and deactivate, let's say 50 of those rules. Then you can perform the same exact actions here that you did on that first test, when those debug logs are generated, then you can view the heap size and the apex CPU time and see if those numbers went down or if they went up. Hopefully they don't go up if you've deactivated rules, but this A/B testing gives you a really good way to determine where you should focus your efforts and your optimization. Again, if you have 10 quote scoped rules and 90 product scoped, those quote scoped rules are probably going to hit your performance a little bit worse than those product scoped rules, unless your users are trying to, like, let's say those 90 rules are on 10 different bundles. If your users are trying to add all 10 bundles at once, that's going to be triggering probably all 90 rules, right? Depending on your configuration. But that just gives you a better way to view what's actually affecting your performance. And then again, what you could do is, in a dev org or a full sandbox, you could delete summary variables, undelete them, see if that helps. We've really found that with heap size, what really helps is the bundle structure. Specifically, the more product options you have in a transaction, the worse your heap size is going to be. And then with CPU time, what we found really is a lot goes into the CPU time, but especially if you have a ton of product rules running, especially if they're like not just set to a specific instance, but they're running all the time, before save, after save, on calculate, etc. That's going to really hit your apex CPU time. So this is a great way to kind of see what is really hitting those performance and where to focus your efforts in optimization. So now I'm just going to show you a quick comparison of two sample logs that we've done before. These may not be like for like what you're going to see, but it should give you a good idea of what your logs should look like and where to look within those logs. So this is the log 1 and log 2. They were fairly similar scenarios, so the numbers look fairly similar. But what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to come down to these SPQQ specific logs, and then what you're going to want to do is look at the heap size and the CPU time. So this transaction, we were testing more the heap size than the CPU time. We weren't having issues in this org. So you can see that this is getting to the maximum 12 megabytes. Is how it's measured. And so, we still had quite a bit of bandwidth here, and we've done a lot of work to minimize this. They were hitting the limit quite often. And you can see here in this one, it's a little bit higher. So again, in that scenario, we were adding different bundles and trying to figure out which bundles were adding the most to the heap size. Because again, what we found is product options are the biggest culprit. So if you have one bundle that's huge, what you're going to do is if you quote that bundle with like 3 smaller bundles, the heap size is going to be very large, but you could quote much more small bundles and not even get close to the heap size. So those are some of our findings. And then again, CPU time, a lot of the times that's product and price rules, and the more automation you have running, the higher you're going to get there. And then again, obviously anything recursive or anything, you're going to want to make sure to ensure that doesn't happen. But yeah, this is just a quick example of how you can kind of do those A/B tests so that you can kind of more granularly see how the performance in CPQ is being affected. I wish it could point us directly to specific roles or specific things that are causing errors or causing us to hit limits, but this is the best way we've determined on how we can find specific areas to dive into and really focus our efforts within CPQ and within an org to optimize it in the best way. So let me know if you have any further questions, if you're hitting any specific limits, and I'd be happy to answer those questions. Thank you. And again, make sure you throw any of your other questions down in the comments if you have any specific questions about CPQ or anything related. I know a lot of people are looking at Revenue Cloud, but a lot of people are also still on Steelbrick CPQ. So would love to answer any and all questions. Also, as it compares from CPQ to Revenue Cloud, we can get some of our Revenue Cloud experts in the comments as well. So thanks for your attention, and make sure to like and subscribe. It really helps us out. Thanks.
Thank you so much for watching. We can't wait to help you automate your business. Please like, comment, or subscribe for more.